Most brands underestimate what email marketing can do, not because they are doing anything wrong, but simply because the real levers, there's 5 of them, that drive performance, are not immediately obvious from the outside. If you don't know me, my name is George Kapernaros. I run Yocto. We're a Klaviyo Elite partner. Elite means we're literally in the top 40 agencies globally within the Klaviyo ecosystem. And I've personally audited hundreds of accounts at this point, literally a stupid number of accounts. So I've seen the inside out of tons of companies, some small, some big, some really big that you may have heard of even. And it really seems to me like in 95% of cases, there's 5 reasons why results are not where they should be. So own a brand, or if you work at a brand and you're doing email marketing, but you're just not getting the return that you have seen others be getting, it's very likely that it's because of one of those 5 reasons, which I'm gonna tell you about in the next few minutes. Make sure you subscribe. This is one of many videos, promise you, will help you scale your brand. Reason number 1, you are not replenishing your email list fast enough, right? This has nothing to do with how your emails look and how your copy is and designs are, or even how the automations and the lifecycle system is structured. Don't acquire people fast enough, you are gonna stagnate and eventually results will go down to 0. Think about it in the following way. Imagine that you have like a nightclub, right? And then after 11 p.m., nobody new enters the nightclub. Eventually, the people within the nightclub will drink as many drinks as they want to drink, and they'll just stop drinking anymore, and then they're going to exit the nightclub. And what you get is crickets. There's just nobody else there. So it's the exact same concept. That's exactly what happens when you don't replenish your list quickly enough. You basically keep emailing the same pool of people. And of course, you can do a lot of things, right? Like you can get them to purchase more. You can get them to spend more money over time, just like you could get the people within the nightclub to order more drinks. But there's a limit. Eventually, they will just stop buying. And you might see that you have some engagement still, but it will start declining. And eventually, you will have exactly 0 results. So everything that you do really relies on you acquiring enough people. Reason number 2 is that you don't have content engine within your brand. And when I mean content engine, I don't mean performance related creative ads, right? Like I mean actual people generating ideas, generating interesting things that the audience and the community around the brand wants to be consuming on a daily basis. And unless you have this, what happens? Your emails will by definition devolve into promotions, and you might go far with promotions alone if you're launching new products frequently, or if you have like a large catalog and you're like running a lot of sales. But that's not the reality of most brands. Most D2C brands have a relatively small catalog of products. They don't launch new drops every single week or every single month, which means what? That the emails get stale. Give you a sense of what I mean. One of our clients, Shelf, it's a very successful company. We grew to over 100 million in a very short time frame. Arguably one of the fastest growing companies, I think, ever, really, for sure within the UK D2C ecosystem. What they do is that they have an in-house team that literally consumes every single health-related podcast, video, research to produce valuable content, which they then distribute through their emails. And they have a social media team that takes snippets out of this content and distributes to the social audience. And of course, this creates a flywheel effect where the production of content feeds the distribution of content, which gives the marketing teams reasons to contact people that don't get stale. They're always interesting, they're always novel, and moreover, the company itself builds its muscle of know-how and subject matter expertise, which is very important and very lacking in many cases. So if your emails are stale, basically, it's not necessarily your email marketing team that's the problem, because they can only do so much. It might be that you as a brand are not giving them enough material, enough fodder for them to use to create interesting emails. Reason number 3 is that you are not using strong hooks. What is a hook? A hook is basically the beginning of your marketing message. It's how this video started. It's the very top headline on your landing page or product page. It's the subject line of an email. Unless this is strong, unless it grabs people by the eyeballs, as we say, nothing else matters, because they have to read this. They have to be interested by this for them to consume everything else, which consequently means that unless the hook is strong, all of your other effort goes to waste. So you might be producing the best content in the world. In fact, I know that a lot of you are real experts when it comes to your product, category, to everything that actually matters in helping people achieve the objectives that you want to help them with. But you're just not getting enough attention, and it's because you're using weak hooks. Reason number 4, you are not sending enough. This is one that actually triggers a lot of people because a lot of founders, potentially including you, are afraid of being annoying, being too salesy, of being in people's faces. And just like objectively speaking, 95% of your target market doesn't know that your brand exists just yet. You don't have problem of being too much in people's faces. You have the exact opposite problem of people not knowing you just yet. In almost every single case. There are of course exceptions. Maybe you work in a massive company as you're watching this, in which case you shouldn't worry that much about people not knowing about the company. But again, in most cases, people just don't know about your brand. So if anything, you need to communicate more. You need to publish more across your social media, and you need to send more through your emails, and you need to spend more in your advertising. It's a game of getting people to know you ultimately, because unless they do this, how can they purchase? That's again similar to the hook concept. Unless the hook gets them to consume the content, they can't be persuaded to purchase. And unless your marketing brings your brand in their awareness set, they won't consider you when they want to purchase whatever it is that your product or brand as a whole is trying to solve for them, right? So when I say you are not sending enough, I really mean it. Most of you are sending once a week, sometimes twice a month. If you look at what all of the big brands do, and those are brands that do have more awareness than yours most likely, they're sending every single day in many cases, at minimum 4 times a week. So how do you expect to get the same results unless you can match their repetition? And when I say repetition, I use the word intentionally because it really is in some ways like going to the gym and completing an exercise over and over again. The more you do it, the better you get at it, right? And that's one of the reasons why you might consider working with an agency like Yocto. We've been doing this for a long period of time and we really know what works. Reason number 5 is that you don't have a strong life cycle system. This is actually something that a lot of brands recognize. They recognize that it's not just about having your welcome flow and then your thank you flow and then a win back flow that triggers 90 days after somebody purchases. It actually has more that goes into it. But the reality is that even the brands that do recognize this, they don't really recognize the actual depth that this has. Because for this to happen properly, what you need to do as a brand is map out every single step that a customer takes from the moment they land on the website all the way to them not being interested in your brand at all. So you have your pre-purchase consideration, you have the eventual purchase, which leads into transactional communication. You have the marketing emails that you send before the product is being delivered, which should set the right expectations so that the product doesn't disappoint the customers and they know what to expect. You have the marketing emails that happen after the product arrives, which should do what? It should help people to experience their first win your product so that they experience the value proposition and they're happy with what they purchased. And then it goes on from there. You need to measure the customer experience, product experience, and then the marketing / expectations experience separately. And then you need to react differently depending on how people feel about what they purchased and how your brand came across. You need to have your cross-sells and upsells and then your referrals and loyalty programs. All of this matters, and then eventually people will start to churn. So you need to have, of course, the winbacks, but even before the actual winback, you need to have some churn prevention mechanisms. And then after you do all of this, you'll only realize that, okay, I've created a system that's linear, but behavior is not really linear. It's not that people go from purchase, upsell to cross-sell to winback, just to winback right away. They will never place a second order. And should you treat them the same way you treat people that place 10 orders until they reach the winback stage? The answer is clearly no. So it's fairly complex. And again, there is a lot of awareness around you needing to do something with your life cycle system, but there's not a lot of awareness on how complex it really is. The reality of things is that most agencies, including many of Yocto's competitors, have a very, I would say, plug and play approach to this. But I'm not going to say this doesn't work, because it works to an extent. You can get better results having templated flows than not having flows at all. But if you want to build a category leading brand, a brand that is basically the number one in your vertical, in your category, then you need to go this extra mile. You need to think through deeply what is the customer journey, and then how can we guide people in the right direction in this journey, and how can we essentially get ahead of potential issues that they may have, so that we are always helping them make progress towards achieving the goals that they have with your products or your brand. It's complex, but it is one of the single most important things you can do to drive results for your business. And unless you do this, the results that you get from email marketing as a channel will always be limited. Okay, so let's zoom out for a second, right? Like, let's think about this. Email always has a cost. You might think that it's free, that Klaviyo is not that expensive, even though they've been getting expensive, but you still pay with your time, pay with your creative energy. There is a cost. It's not for free. And the reality is that you need to ask yourself, like, am I spending this cost on the right things? And most of you don't, flat out. You are not replenishing the list fast enough. You are not trying to feed your email marketing team with enough novel content ideas that they can then distribute to the channel. You don't have the best of hooks. You're not sending enough to people that actually would like to receive more content from you. And you have potentially a functional but not optimized lifecycle setup. Now, the good news, every single point in that list is fixable. You do not really need 50 automations. You don't need to, you don't need to fundamentally and radically change how your business works. You just need to have the right priorities and make consistent small steps in the right direction. And there's tons of videos in this channel show you how to make progress in all of these areas. There is a guide for pop-ups, there's a guide for flows, there's a guide for segments. There's a lot of material that you can consume from this YouTube channel, and it's all free. I'm giving it all away for free. But if you want to get a shortcut, and if you want to apply the best practices the best brands use, then you can book a call with me. There's a link in the description of this video. We're gonna have a conversation. You're gonna speak with me directly, and I'm gonna help guide you and your company in the right direction on what you can do to maximize the results you get from email, SMS, WhatsApp, direct mail, from lifecycle marketing as a whole, so that you build this not as a discount delivery mechanism, but as a real growth pillar for your brand and for your company. The link is down below. If you don't want to have a conversation now, but you saw value in this video, the least you can do is subscribe to the channel. It really helps motivate me and keep going.